Ayurvedic family called Ashtavedhyalati or Nambi family. We have a continuous tradition of Ayurvedic practice since many centuries. Currently, I am working as a principal of an Ayurvedic college and having teaching and clinical experience of 22 years. I was really very close to Krishna Kumarji, and he was like my godfather. He was like a mentor to me, and I have so many wonderful memories with Krishna Kumarji. Whenever I met him, he always inspired me, giving wonderful advices. Also, he is a great torchbearer of taking Ayurveda into different realms of experience. Uh, as soon as after my completion of post graduation, when I joined as a professional, AVP, especially Krishnamarji, given me a lot of opportunities in Ayur Sutra, Ayur Chikitsa, and many training programs there, inviting me as a participant, as a faculty, as a chairperson, and so on, which was greatly a support for me to develop my career as a teacher, as a clinician, as a researcher too. And he always communicates us very quickly and shortly, meantime very precisely, and appreciate every milestones in our life. Few years before, when I joined as a principal of an Ayurvedic college, Ashtangam Ayurvedic college here, Samanji was the first person to message me saying congratulations and for the new responsibilities and etc. He used to come to our institute every year, January, at least once a year, and addresses all the students and explaining the potentials and possibilities of Ayurveda. Besides many personal interaction, he was such an inspirational person that I always remember one sentence which is very much similar to Sai Baba. Sai Baba used to say that you cannot destroy the smile in my face because it it's not the source of the smile is not this physical body. So I think Samarji also had the same sentence to say that even though he was sick with multiple health issues, I want to say that his statement is that statement is applicable to Krishnamurti too. That the smile he always smile and inspire all of us. Okay, I'll just close the window. Namaste. The today's topic of discussion is how far we understand a food as Ayurvedic and how we take an Ayurvedic food in the current scenario. I want to say that there is nothing called Ayurvedic food until otherwise we define what are the determinants to a material that we consider as an Ayurvedic. For example, generally, whatever the food we take, whatever the liquid we take, these are being consumed orally, and body will be digesting the whole content in different period of time. And in general, we try to nurture or nourish our system. Mostly, in other words, we can say it does the dhatu poshanam to nurture the dhatu. And of course, it may have some influence of the dosha too, but we consider more on the dhatu stability and largely based on its taste, the rasa pradhana. When we try to look that food item, which can be really utilized based on our dosha imbalances, then it can be more Ayurvedic according to me. And let me give you an example. For example, if I'm taking a milk every day, it's fine. It is very good for my rasa dhatu and other dhatu, even for shukra dhatu. It is very nourishing. It is very good for ojas, etc. But suppose if I fall sick, For example, I had a fever 2 3 days. Then I fall sick. After the fever, in my body, I can have a status of very low kaphavastha, a very high vadapitta. That means I have an abnormal appetite. I may have a multiple joint pain. I may have some burning sensations or dryness in the skin, etc. So at that situation, I'll start thinking, what would be the food I should take? There comes the milk, because milk has a peculiar property that can increase kapha and reduce vadapitta. Vadapittaram snigdam shleshmalam guru shitalam prayaha paya. So that is the common guna of milk. So if I take milk at that junction, that consumption of milk become very Ayurvedic, because it not only helps to nourish the dhatu, not only strengthen the immune system or the ojas, it has a capacity to balance the dosha. So kaphamanda vadapitta state, that milk act as a really an Ayurvedic way. So in this perception, the whole idea of Ayurvedic food items been described in Ayurvedic text, like in the Dravadravya Vijnaniyam, Annaswarupa Vijnaniyam, and all. Moreover, food also been identified in Ayurveda as a substitute of medicine. So when we use particular type of food, it can also act as a medicine because of its application, correcting the dhatu, balancing the doshas in an idealistic way. So Dravadravya Vijnaniyam, a chapter which explains the materials what we use, even the water, from starting from water to many things. And we have food which has been processed with the different materials. Also, like that, we have wonderful descriptions in our Samhita. So, fundamentally, food is something which is very much nurturing and caring our system without doing much disturbance. The traditionally also that not always that we cook and prepare food and eat immediately. Even though it is ideal, we have lot of traditions of preparing food packed in a such a natural way and taken in few hours. For example, when I was going to school, I used to have food containing the sabjis or the other materials in that packed in a semi cooked banana leaf and folded in such a way that as soon as it opened, it gives a wonderful smell. So packaging also have a habit, also have there in the long traditions. Even not only daily food, we also try to preserve many food in a different forms. For like a simple example I can give from Kerala is the utilization of jackfruit. Only in March, April, May we get jackfruit plenty enough. So on other season, rest of the 8 to 9 months we cannot get it. So what people does, they will cook the jackfruit with the jaggery with some spices and make like a paste called chaka with a variety that's called fried a peculiar way. And that material has been used almost all year without the absence of water content in that, added with natural preservatives like jaggery and honey. That things are there. So processed food is a long tradition what we have in classical period itself. There is nothing wrong in preserving things. It can be utilized in different situations, provided important is the end user who taking it. That part is very important. For example, if I have, if I'm really hungry, what I should eat is I have to take guru. But if I'm not that much hungry, if I have vada dominant situations there, I have to take snigdha, but same time it is laku because I have an agni which is more vata dominant. So ultimately, whatever the food we eat, it is the end user, the person whose intellect is supposed to decide things. That's a very prime number. There's a huge difference between the conventional nutritional perception and Ayurvedic understanding of food. For example, fundamentally, if you have a composition of carbohydrates, minerals, metals, etc., all these trace elements, everything, then we say this is a very ideal food. For Ayurveda, in other way, things are mixture of six rasas or the six tastes. But the criteria of Ayurveda is something very different because we expect the real prana, the real force that should be there in the that. It's not the smell of the masala, it's not the flavor what has been added there, it's not the color of the material what we have. Fundamentally, it should have a prana, the life it is there. Secondly, it should have a capacity in ideally to be linked with the agni of that person. So, Shadrasa Yukta should have a prana within it and it should have a capacity to help the digestion in a smoother way without making much disturbances. So, conventionally, when we say, okay, we have constituents are important or calories are being calculated, we doesn't look into that. Rather, we look into the how the person feels when he takes the food. That's very important. That is why we have a lot of elaborate descriptions how we should eat, where we should eat, with whom we should eat, all the etiquettes and everything. And another important thing Ayurveda says that it's not what we eat is important. It is what we digest is very important. This is another very key role of Ayurveda. Always say that it is it's not what we eat is important. What we digest is become very very important. So what are the criteria to have a better digestion? We have Agni, we have status of doshas, status of desha, kala, many things comes in the scene. So that is why in Ayurvedic textbook there is an enormous description of two things. One, how we prepare food, samyoga, samskara, desha, kala, etc., avoiding viruddha, etc. That's one side. And secondly, we have set of things inside. That is the Agni, the Kleda of this Samanavata status, Kledaka Kappa status, Pachaka Pitta status, many set of things which is of personal interest. From the external point of view, we may have many, many categories that can be identified. That each category in which we have to specifically see what has to be done in different situations. For example, Dushya, for example, Desha, which seasons, what type of food has been prepared. Desha, what seasons we are taking the food, what is the original source of that food. Like that, a set of categories of criteria will come in the external way, and we have set of things comes in the internal way. Keeping those both the balance is becomes the ideal status of things. Very importantly, if a food is been added with trifala or food is been added with ashwagandha, then people will say, "Oh, it's Ayurvedic." No, the idea is that if you are able to know the real guna of the or the real know the proportion of that ingredient, what is the status of snigdha there, what is the status of laku is there, what is the status of certain guna there, if you are able to know exactly what those things are, that food become that food become very very important. And one side that is the dosha level, and also there was also question regarding triguna. Yes, of course. From time immemorial, in the Bhagavad Gita, it says they says that Yadayamam Gadarasam Pudi Paryushitam says Uchishtam Jametam Bhojanam Tamasapriyam. So tamasic food, Rajasic food, and Sattvic food also we described from even from the Bhagavad Gita. We have so many descriptions of this triguna also that if the food which has been taken, if it creates laziness, lethargic things, then they are considered tamasic. If that food that excites our emotions, raga, dvesha, mata, moha, malsarya, damba, ahangara things, then they are really rajasic. Shanti, prema, ahimsa, satyam, dharmam. If these things have been enhanced by some sort of food, then definitely we can consider those food are sattvic. It's not whether it is a vegetarian or non-vegetarian. The idea is completely different. Rather than sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic would be an important thing, important factor to be considered. Again, in Ayurveda, while explaining the categories of the food, lehya, ashida, while categorizing the food, they beautifully described that we should take food according to different seasons, according to the need of the body, according to disease or non-disease situations, etc. But in general, we can have some basic things. One category is called priya and apriya. That means if you like or dislike. Most of the time, we are fall in this category. Priyam, really sensibly enjoyable or not sensibly enjoyable. Very, very important. Many times, something will be very much sensory, not enjoyable, maybe very good for health. That is called hita and ahita. So we have some terminologies to explain food. One is to differentiate what is priya and apriya. Second thing, we have to say whether it is pathya or apatya. What does it mean? Is that food is really in the direction of our health? Is it positively contributing to our health or negatively contributing to our health? Is something positively contributing to our health? That means patayar hitam, in the same direction of our life or life forces are things, then it is pathya. That's really very good. If it is against to that, then it is apatya. Another category is we should consider in the discussion is called satmya and asatmya. Whether that is really helping the person to keep the sattva well, then that is called satmya. If it is against thing, then it is asatmya is there. And another thing is hita or ahita. The ultimate thing, whether it is good for your life or not good for your life. So, in the whole discussions of in this seminar, I would like to highlight also to discuss these terminologies in the context of food. Priya, apriya, hita, ahita, patya, apatya, viruddha or aviruddha. That means whether it is antagonistic or not antagonistic. So keeping these terminologies could be a real discussion point and real debating point in this context. And I think these are the points to be discussed in the context, and definitely I think we can come up with wonderful ideas. And I really appreciate the organizers because Ayurvedic conversation is a wonderful idea because Tadvidya Sambhashanam is a Buddhivardhanana. It can really increase our intelligence. Also, it can clear many doubts, just like how Siddhanta has to arrive. Parikshagaihi Bahvitam Pariksha, Edubit Sadhaitva. That's how the Siddhantas, the principle has been evolved. So, whenever we have doubts, whenever we have confusions, whenever we have not clear things, these type of Tadvidya Sampasha will definitely will bring up a lot of insights, and people from different part of the world have different viewpoint, and whenever we communicate each other, it can bring wonderful ideas to come. And I'm looking forward to see and to have a wonderful debate with all of you. Thank you so much. Namaste.